Well, we made it. The Nintendo Switch is officially 5 years, 4 months, 3 weeks and 2 days old. I can't think of a better way to celebrate this completely arbitrary holiday by completely shitting on this console.
Picture the scene. You lay on your deathbed, family surrounding you, looking for the light. Death himself comes and approaches you, ready to welcome you into the afterlife. And then you decide to release the Nintendo Switch and make a full recovery. I think it's safe to say that the Nintendo Switch saved Nintendo as a company, breaking away from the now failed Wii branding and the 5 years of eternal torment otherwise known as the Wii U. And it's been a massive success, officially becoming Nintendo's best-selling home console of all time. But since you could argue that it's a hybrid system and not a home console, I'll be returning this title to the Wii, thank you very much. It's pretty clear that the Switch has been an absolute success. But it's not without its flaws. We've seen Nintendo stoop pretty low this generation, and I could go on for a surprisingly long time about exactly how they've messed up. But I don't have all day to talk about this, I've got hobbies to tend to, like... Oh. Well, we may as well start with the console itself. In my opinion, the hardware is pretty lackluster, even by 2017 standards. The console screen is only 720p, despite the system being able to output a 1080p thanks to the dock. This isn't terrible, the games look perfectly fine for the most part, but holy shit does this thing lag. Go play Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity and then tell me that the system runs fine. Even with games released early into the console's life like with Breath of the Wild, just one area in Korok Forest is laggy as all hell. And this game doesn't even run at full 1080p. And if we're talking about hardware, then let's talk about the Joy-Cons. What seemed like great but small controls in the first year of the system's life turned out to be the most unreliable and broken pieces of Nintendo hardware ever created. The amount of times that these things have started drifting is unreal. Just type in Joy-Con drift into any respectable social media website and you'll be greeted to thousands of people all experiencing the same issue. And the way Nintendo handled it was just downright disrespectful to consumers. I mean, they quite literally pretended that the issue didn't exist for the best part of the year. That's just messed up. Also, I popped the left Joy-Con off of its rail last year and it never sat quite right since then, but that's probably just a me issue. Still, fuck you Nintendo.
Well, even if I think the hardware's pretty poor, at least the software hasn't changed.
Software. Christ! It would be downright wrong to suggest that Nintendo have released nothing but bad games onto the Nintendo Switch. I mean, here are just a few games I think are at least great that are Switch exclusive, but in some of their games there's been this feeling that something's missing. Like take any modern Mario sports game for example. These games have been beloved for including so much personality and references to the Mario universe. They truly feel like fully fledged games that deserve the title of Mario Sports. Now look at this. Ew. There's really only one good analogy I can think of that could accurately represent what Nintendo is doing with their recent games.
Hello and welcome to a new segment I like to call Dylan's Kitchen. Today we're going to be taking a look at an edible representation of a modern Mario sports game. It's a foreign delicacy. Let's just throw our ingredients in here and start to heat it up. I'm going to be using a technique I like to call a la Nintendo. That'll do. Let's just serve our dish up here and see if there's any takers. Looks like no takers in 1 to 3 months. Looks like I've got no choice but to add my secret sauce. That should do. Pretty sick analogy, let's keep going.
Half-baked software, or somehow the Switch manages to serve that up in more ways than one. The Switch launched with free online software in 2017, but later switched to a paid online service in September of 2018. To be fair, the package is a pretty good deal at first glance. Pay $20 a year to get games online, get cloud storage for most games, and play classic NES and SNES games. Sounds pretty good, except the online quality is just awful. Obviously, judging online quality is always a bit tricky to measure. Everyone has different internet quality, and even then the connection stability varies from game to game. But I consider myself to have a pretty good internet connection, and in my personal experience, this online service ranges from anywhere between decent and... I'll just play Rayman 3 instead.
Well, those are some of my biggest annoyances of the Switch out of the way, but with a rant like that you probably think I despise the system, but really I don't. It's given us some of the best Nintendo games to date, and given us a whole new way to play as well. Like I can play my hospital bed, or my actual bed. It's clear that Nintendo don't value their consumers as much as they used to in the Wii U era, because they know a lot more people are buying their system now. So, with that little notice out of the way, let's go over a few more quickfire complaints that I have with the Nintendo Switch.
The Nintendo Wii shop, not only is the design boring and lacks personality, but there's so much shovelware that it physically lags the shop and buries genuinely good indie titles. Speaking of boring and lacking personality, try the whole system software. It's been 5 years and this theme section is still completely empty except for basic white and basic black. It literally says it in the fucking name! Basic themes! Throw me a bone here Nintendo, at least give me a JPEG of Mario or something. Limited time releases. 3D All-Stars, Super Mario 35, Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon? What reason was there for that? It wasn't even a part of the Mario 35th anniversary celebrations. This kickstand was cool at first, but after 5 years, this thing is barely even attached anymore. And the 32GB internal storage, these issues were fixed in the OLED model, but why were these issues to begin with? You could have fixed the storage issue with the 2019 Redbox revision, but you didn't! But above all else, above the hardware issues, the storage, the undercooked games, I think the Switch has one major flaw. In 2021, rumours of Xbox Game Pass coming to Switch surfaced, which Phil Spencer immediately shut down. But this could have worked so well with the pick-up-and-play nature of the Nintendo Switch. Just think about it, third-party Xbox games on Nintendo Switch. It's perfect!
I've got to start reading my diagnosis papers more thoroughly.